Hey everyone, Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a new 2016 album review, and today we're going to be looking into a new album from one of my all-time favorite bands, and one of the greatest melodic death metal bands from Sweden. And as you can see below the title of the video and by the shirt I'm wearing, we're going to be looking into the new album from Amon Amarth entitled Jomsviking, which actually came out today. Now, if everybody should know who Amon Amarth are. They're one of the greatest melodic death metal bands from Sweden. They've been around since the 90s, probably mid to late 90s. Put out like classic of albums such as like The Avenger, The Crusher, Without an Honor Side, Fate of Norn, Sword of the Thunder God. And this new album, Jomsviking, is overall the band's 10th full-length studio album. And this album is the follow-up to 2013's The Seer of the Gods, which I thought was a pretty good album. And yeah, and this is actually their first album without their without their longtime drummer Frederick Anderson, who left the band last year or so. Instead, they got the drummer from Vomitory, Tobias Gustafsson. I can't remember his name. And this album is actually the band's first concept album, which the concept of this album sort of tells a story between love, and revenge. And yeah, when I first heard this album, like the first few songs, I was pretty impressed. Because it kind of sounds like a step up from Deceiver of the Gods, but then we get to the when I first heard the album, I was like, "Yep." I mean, for me, this band never fails to disappoint. Honestly, and I really like them for that. And the one thing I noticed is the vocals. I mean, Johan Haeg's vocals, just like his growls on this, like it just sound just as amazing as always. And guitar wise, Johan Soderberg and Olavi Mikkonen, and just both of those guys come up with some really great riffs, and their solos and lead playing on this album is great. Yeah, the bass on this album is pretty audible compared to previous Amon Amarth albums. I mean, Ted Lundstrom just basically like has some really good bass lines, and the drumming, of course. I mean, Tobias from Vomitory actually like filled in those shoes that Frederick has, and he does a pretty good job on this album. But yep, let's dive into this album track by track. We open up with the first song called First Kill, which kind of leads the way with a little bit of a short intro, but then after that it just goes straight into it. It's a really great song. Then we get to which goes into Wanderer, which is kind of like a mid-tempo song, and it has some really good riffs, and I really like the little bass line in there. It's a pretty good song, one of my favorite songs on this album. Then we get to On a Sea of Blood. This song is just kicks right in with a very much an up tempo beat, and I love the riff is just on this song. It just sounds very thrashy. It's really good. One Against All, which pretty much showcases Tobias's drumming. One of his best performances on this album. Raise Your Horns, which is just a really good song. I feel like this song is a perfect song for if they were to play this live. It's just a perfect live song, I should say. And it's a very good sing along song if you want to like if that pretty much gets the crowd going. Yeah. Then we get to the Way of Vikings, which is a great song. I really like this song. Another one of my favorite songs off this album. And, yep. At Dawn's First Light, which I really love the chorus of the song. It's really catchy, along with sort of like the riffs just sound fucking mean. It's just wow. And then sort of the album kind of slows down with a little bit with 1000 Burning Arrows, which is kind of a bit of a very slow and sort of has a bit of a melancholy vibe to it, but it still has that heaviness that Amon Amarth is known for. And then we get to Vengeance Is My Name, which starts off with a little bit of a spoken word part into it, then it just goes into it. It's a very groovy song, I have to say. And then we get to an interesting song called A Dream That Cannot Be. And this song actually has a guest appearance on the song from the great Doro Pesh, who you probably know from the band Warlock. The lead vocalist for Warlock, and she has her own solo stuff, which I never really listened to. I feel like I should, but anyway, this song is pretty interesting with her vocals with Johan Haeg's growls. It just surprisingly fits when I first heard this. I was kind of impressed actually. It's a pretty good song. And then the album closes with the song Back on Northern Shores, which is a perfect way to end this album. And I think it's a good song overall. Now, overall, Jomsviking by Amon Amarth, it's a pretty good album. I think it's a step up from Deceiver of the Gods. If I were to give this album a score, I'd probably give this like a perfect 8.5 out of 10. So, yeah, that's my review of the album, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the album. I'll see you all in the next video. Keep it metal.